Just like the Wild, we're back in action with another Wild Wednesday and your shot at tickets to Wild versus Lightning on March 3rd. Just use the iHeartRadio app to send us a talk back and tell us who lights the lamp for the Wild first when they take on Colorado tomorrow night. Get the full details at KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
But lunch preparation takes a lot when you have this much going on. It's a couple 13-14 past. I'm Common, he's Tennessee. It's time for 5-3-4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
It's now time to take an in-depth look at the welfare of the Wolves.
The Wolves got Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid back and began their 3-game road trip in Portland with a 124-121 triumph over the Trailblazers. Gobert finished with 10 points and 19 rebounds. Anthony Edwards finished with 34 points, and Jaden McDaniels scored 29 points on 11 of 15 shooting. Also had 5 blocks, 3 steals, and 6 rebounds. Common, what sticks out to you from last night's Wolves win?
Yeah, so what? We'll just see where we end up in the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs right now. They're a game or a game and a half out of the 3rd spot. They're currently in the 5th. So just wait and see. I mean, they're going to make postseason. I'm so tired of their lack of effort every other game. Sometimes they'll do it for 2 games, then they'll play well for 3. And I just, they're telling me to. Ant said it at the beginning of the year. It's like we really don't want to play these games. We want to get right to the playoffs, and that's what they've been doing. So I'm just going to wait to the playoffs. I really have nothing to say about their wins or their losses right now. We'll just see if they put. I think once playoff time comes, they will put forth the effort. I think they will because they know, well, now we have to. It gets to the point where it's either fish or cut bait, as the old cliche goes. And but by the time they get to the postseason play, you have to fish or cut bait. And I think they will. So we'll see how it goes. I wish them well.
It's kind of crazy. The Spurs are only 3 games back of the Thunder for that number 1 spot, given the start OKC got out to and seemed like they were going to be impossible to catch. Spurs have won 9 in a row. Spurs got
a lot of talent, especially that Wembanyama kid.
Question number 2. It's time now for the lowdown in Dinkytown.
The Gophers men's basketball team lost 77-67 last night in Michigan. Cade Tyson led the Gophers with 20 points. Only 6 Gophers saw the floor with the starting 5 all playing at least 38 minutes. Nico Medved, after the game right here on the Fan, said, quote, "I'm such a competitive guy that I don't believe in moral victories. But for us to come in here against a team that is as good analytically as any team I've seen in 15 years, it was a heck of an effort. We can learn a lot from today. There were a lot of positives." Common, do you consider last night a moral victory for your University of Minnesota Golden Gophers?
Well, I kind of agree with what Medved said. I'm not into moral victories. Tough love covenant. They don't do a lot for me. But Michigan's the best team in the country. If they're not number 1, they're number 2 right now, right? They're really, really good. They're long, they're athletic, they can shoot. They might be the best defensive team in all of basketball, in college basketball. So you don't expect the Gophers to go there and win. They went in with a sub-500 record. So, 10 points. I didn't see it, so I don't know. 10 points can be deceiving. Some people look at 10 points as getting blown out. Others as 10 points is close in a game where 2 teams are on. They're in different trajectories right now, right? So to lose by 10 isn't so bad. But, again, at the end of the day, it's like, well, you still lost and you're still where you are. And He's new to he's just started. You got to give a guy a year or two to coach to see how it goes. So it's all right, And when you're only playing,
I would say I can give you a moral victory, but those moral victories only last for so long.
Well, that's true.
Right? Because you're in year one, we can have more of it. Once you get to year 3, year 4, we're not going to fall for the moral victory route anymore.
That's correct. And when you're only
I feel
playing,
like the football team tries that.
When you're only playing 6 guys, too, I don't know if that's because, I think.
Well, they've had some injuries.
Yeah, they've had some injuries. So, yeah.
But they were short on depth to begin with.
Correct.
Question number 3.
I'm going to say something controversial.
That's interesting.
It's time now for the controversial question of the day.
Common, if you could only eat the same breakfast, the same lunch, which has to be different than breakfast, and the same dinner, which has to be different than lunch, every day, what 3 meals would you choose?
I wouldn't do breakfast.
You wouldn't?
I never do breakfast. I never
eat breakfast. 2 meals a day?
I never eat breakfast unless I'm at Grandview. Camp Richard, their buffet.
So good.
Otherwise, I just started eating now at 1 o'clock. The last time I ate was at 7 o'clock last night. So how many hours is that?
Is that why you're always so hangry in the noon hour?
So that's 12, 5, 17, 18 hours since I last ate. And then I'll eat tonight at about 7 o'clock again.
You don't even need like a snack or anything?
Well, I might grab a couple of almonds at home, and then, Emily's got a little candy dish, and I might grab a couple of Hershey Kisses for my sweet tooth. But other than that, no, I don't eat anything. And it's weird. There was last week one time I couldn't eat. Were you out one day last week?
Yeah.
Well, the day you were out, or maybe it was the day you were
here.
It
was President's Day.
Something happened, and I had 2 live ads during the top of the hour, so I couldn't go to so I didn't eat until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No! So I went 20 hours without eating. And it's okay with me. But my meal would be the one I'm eating right now, barbecue chicken tacos with red cabbage slaw with Greek yogurt is so good. This is the 3rd day in a row I've had it for dinner and for lunch. With an avocado, broccoli, and cauliflower, and then some raspberries and blackberries. Could eat that every day for my lunch. For dinner, it's a new one I've discovered. Think about this. You're going to think this is the yuckiest thing you've ever heard of. Seasoned ground beef, like taco seasoning,
sure.
Right?
I'm fine there.
Mixed with roasted sweet potatoes.
I can handle it.
Avocado.
Yeah.
And cottage cheese.
Yeah.
And you mix that together, it's so good. It's just delicious.
I could maybe eat that.
It's really good. You'd love it. So
because the cottage cheese is going to mix in. The avocado doesn't really have a lot of taste.
How would it be for your meals?
I'm basically already doing this now, and I don't have to. I think I would just choose your very classic, basic breakfast. Right? It would just be like eggs, sausage, toast, a banana. That would be my breakfast.
How would you peel that banana?
From the other side, just like the monkeys do, because they eat them every day. They know what they're doing. Lunch, I would probably just eat a sandwich of some sort. And yeah, it might actually just be like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Uncrustable?
I'd rather just eat it straight up. I don't mind the crust.
Wow.
And then for dinner, it's probably not the healthiest option, but it's my favorite food, and it's the one food that I never really get sick of. So I'd have to just go pizza.
Yeah. And then there's so many.
But I would probably be feeling that after a while if you're having it every day, every night.
Yeah. Now, if you told me calories be danged, and don't have to worry about that, well, then I would probably change them. And for me, there's really not much better than barbecue ribs. I love any kind of barbecue ribs, barbecue pork. I love barbecue. So that's
good barbecue ribs is so good. It's just a mess to eat, but I'm every time. It is,
but I can I could deal with that. And then a good old double cheeseburger, with ketchup, mustard, mayo, and there are other things I could eat, but I
love me some cheeseburgers. I just thought I would get sick of that every single night.
Someone says you're really doing your body a disservice by not eating breakfast. Very bad for your body. No, that's not true.
I think there's lots of debates on that.
Well, there is, because do you know who told you breakfast was good for you? Kellogg's.
General Mills.
It's in General Mills. It's called intermittent fasting. It's really good for you. Intermittent fasting is good for you. You don't need to eat breakfast. If you want to, that's fine. Or if you want to have a little something. But to eat a big bowl of cereal and milk with fruit on the top, or to have pancakes, and I love me some French toast. But no, I'm not doing myself you're doing yourself a disservice if you eat 3 meals a day, I think. That's just my opinion.
I eat a banana every morning, and the days that I don't, I feel like I can feel it in my brain.
Well,
I might be a little dependent on it.
Speaking of brains, did you know that meat sauce had a brain-eating amoeba? Starved to death. Rock Talk is next with Brian Oake here on The Fan.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
KFAN welcomes Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band to Target Center on March 31st. Tickets are on sale now. Get the complete details on all our upcoming shows in the concert page at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Advanced and tactical, you say. In other words, well beyond my skill level.
Your words, not mine.
Well, I said, I'm real simple with Scrabble. You go, well, yeah, Scrabble's a great game, but it's not as technical and advanced or something like that.
Well, and it is. This week, I went up north with Church this past
Brian Oake,
weekend.
by the way. I think most people realize that.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, it's Rock Talk. I went up for the 17th year in a row. Church and I and a whole gaggle of other nerds went up north, rented out a giant lodge, 10 guys for 4 days playing nothing but all kinds of crazy board games, from Eldritch Horror to Foundations of Rome to dozens and dozens of these games, and it's just 4 days of nerdiness that is spectacular. It's also known as Whiskey Weekend. I no longer participate in the whiskey portion of it. I don't know if I told you I stopped drinking.
No,
I did. A little over 15 months ago. Not a drop since then, and I got to admit, it's been nothing but sunshine and rainbows since then. So
here's the deal: it's nothing good has ever happened after midnight. Nothing good comes from drinking, and you just get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Absolutely true. Although I do disagree with the part about nothing good happening after midnight. After 2 a.m., that's usually when nothing good happens. But I've had a few, but you do get some great stories out of it. So just try to survive the ride.
Let me ask you a question.
Hit me.
In the last game, you wrap up the weekend with Initials game, right?
No. Again, a little more technically complicated and tactically oriented and story driven. Yeah.
So Risk isn't considered. That's not complicated.
So
right?
No. Risk would be right at sort of at the borderline of where we would start. A lot of the games we play, the strategy games, are sort of Risk based. Risk is sort of the GOAT, right? Like the original big worldwide strategy game. We have a lot of games that use world maps or similar maps. So that basic concept applies to a ton of these games. But then the stories are different, or the mechanics are different, or whatever. But we have a very good time, and ever since Church moved to Utah, I mean, he and I not only text more than most people know, but we're actually really good friends. So I was bummed when he moved to Utah. So it was great to get a chance to spend some time with him. And anybody who's worried, Church is very much alive and well, and in a good spot. I like that guy.
Does he have a podcast? I know you do.
I do have I can't be certain. He's more the guy that's a guest on a podcast, like everybody wants to tap into the experience and the aura that is Paul Charchian.
Of course.
But yeah, no, I do have a podcast. In fact, I came directly here from recording episode 555, which is really kind of crazy. We've been doing it for 6.5 years.
That's a palindrome,
Yeah, well, it's
555 is a palindrome.
It is. I suppose that's true.
Same number either way.
From a numerological perspective, I'm sure it has some sort of deep significance, but it was fun. It'll publish tomorrow morning. No, we just keep cranking out a couple a week, dealing primarily with the Twin Cities music scene, but we get a few other topics in there.
The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced what they're calling, or at least what the Cleveland Post or Cleveland Daily Planet, whatever it is, they call it an eclectic list of the 2026 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees. And did I get the number right? 17 artists with both several retread nominees and several first-timers have been selected.
That is correct. Yeah. 10 first-timers and 7 people who have had a shot at it before but have not yet made their way into those hallowed halls.
We call it retreads.
Yeah, well,
That's where it was written in this story. I kind of like that.
It's a little dismissive because there are a lot of genuinely well recognized greats that they're not first ballot, right? They don't get in right away. Happens in sports too, but retreads just sounds like I don't know. You know what? Before we dive into this,
okay,
can I just state? Oh, we're going to save it for the next part. We're going to save it for the next segment.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, so I don't even know where to start. You've got.
Why don't I start with the top of the list? We'll just rattle them off.
Hit me.
Black Crowes, your thoughts?
I love them. Absolutely amazing blues-based Southern rock, and they've been excellent. They've got great songs. They've got a huge heritage. They continue to impress and inform and influence people who are making music today. They were the energy of a Rolling Stones show with the sort of more, with more Southern and country influenced blues rock. And they're just, I don't know. I think they're a great, great band. And they were a band that for people who were sort of missing the vibe and the era and the energy of the 70s into the 90s and the 2000s, that was the band that sort of was the standard bearer more than anybody else.
Jeff Buckley, apparently he is no longer with us.
He is not. He died.
I've not heard of him. Are you familiar with him?
I'm very familiar with him. Yeah, he only ever put out one proper studio album called Grace, and he is, I think, canonized a little bit because of that, but he's revered. He is beloved. He was on his way to a lifelong and important career and then died accidentally of drowning during a late-night swim out in a river.
Tennessee, his ears will perk up here. Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
This is her third consecutive year
baby.
to be in to the Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on Mariah Carey?
I'm not a fan personally, but again, this is a perfect example of I don't have to like her, but I have to respect her. Okay. She's had 19 number one songs on Billboard. That is the number one for any solo artist, and it ties her with a little band called The Beatles. So whether or not you are a Mariah Carey fan, she has put the hours in, has the success, has the numbers, has the accolades. Hard to believe she wasn't a first ballot, but I don't think she has they're still clinging to some sort of desperate cool sense over there. And I don't think she's cool to like because she's so popular, but her influence and her success speaks for itself.
The singer, songwriter, drummer is already in the Rock Hall of Fame with Genesis. Phil Collins as a solo artist. Your thoughts?
Not a big fan, but again, I know people who would go to the wall for Phil Collins. He's in there for a band for a reason. He's recognized as one of the most talented drummers of the rock era. Don't love that 80s sort of pablum of No Jacket Required, and those were not my favorite records, but he was huge. So he's done it. He was critically acclaimed. He's done the successful thing. He was a prog rocker. He was a pop rocker. He's done all of it at a very high level and still is with us today. Yeah, he's absolutely worthy of it.
You could argue when the drums come in the air tonight, it might be the greatest 3 seconds of any song ever made.
It's certainly the most iconic drum hook in Western music, I think, ever. It's certainly in our lifetimes, for sure. I agree with you, Tana.
I sort of like when my favorite part, best 3 seconds of music is when Passage to Bangkok with Rush. When they do the that I think is the best 3 seconds.
Well, it's certainly very inventive and not at all a lazy stereotype. So it's pretty groundbreaking stuff right there.
What I like about the song, it's basically a song about we're going to try to find the best marijuana in the world, and we're just traveling all over the world to find, and we only stop for the best.
Exactly.
We don't just stop for ditchweed.
No, we're not getting any of that Uzbeki ditchweed. We're waiting until we get to Bangkok for some of that primo blonde hash.
That's exactly right. This next nominee, I'm sure you have had in Studio C, Melissa Etheridge.
Oh, yeah, on numerous occasions. Melissa is great. She was one of the first
one of my wife's favorite artists.
Well, one of the first truly important, not only because she was an incredible performer and wrote great songs and had commercial success, but you can't ignore the fact that she was sort of the biggest solo artist to be openly out from day one, which, again, we're still not at full acceptance or equal rights there. And so when she came out, and I mean, her debut album, Yes, I Am, that's exactly what she was addressing. But then it wasn't just her waving a flag around. It was her backing it up with being one of the most powerful and soulful singer-songwriters of the era. Plus, super duper nice person. The 2 times I had her in Studio C, she was lovely. And I know I'm an absolute fan.
Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
Tell me about her.
From the Fugees. You could call her rap, you could call her soul, you could call her hip hop, but everyone reveres her. Her time in the Fugees is how she made her name, but the thing that makes her a genuine icon is the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, her debut solo effort. She's as iconic as she's up there with to the modern era, to the modern day kids. I don't think she has quite the radical influence, but like I would put her in the same conversation as people like Erykah Badu, Nina Simone, these incredibly individual, sometimes difficult, but amazingly talented and enduring soul singers. She's great. She absolutely belongs.
She kind of just disappeared after that album, and it wasn't like she put out bad music. I think she just said, "Oh, I'm done."
No, she vanished for a very long time, and now she's back actively touring and stuff, and has been for a good number of years. But no, that thing was such a massive success, and you see that from time to time. That she just vanished, and it never really. Think Guns N' Roses when they're like, "No, we're coming back with Chinese Democracy," and it was more than a decade later before they came back.
I believe you have a topic or two you want to get to, but I want to continue this list because there's more.
This is better than anything I brought in today.
Okay, so let's continue the list of nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Plus, there's another story that I think raises some interesting issues just about music in general and concerts and reunions and such like that.
What about Rock Rank?
And, of course, Rock Rank coming up as well. All that and more here on Rock Talk with Common to be and Brian Oake here on The Fan.
Want to be at the next big game or concert? Well, we're giving away tickets to The Wild, Santana, the Doobie Brothers, Chris Stapleton, and plenty more. Enter today at KFAN.com. Keyword contest.
It's Rock Talk on The Fan. I'm Comedy's tend to be Brian Oake here as well. We're looking at it was announced today. There are 17 nominees, 7 that have been up for induction into the for consideration induction in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that have not made it. They're back up for consideration this year.
Right.
10 newcomers. We've been looking at the list. Next on that list would be Billy Idol. Billy Idol.
Well, I remember hearing White Wedding for the first time and then seeing the video on MTV, and I was like, wow, this dude's cool. I knew nothing about his previous band, Generation X, at that point. I just knew that this guy, he was sort of the commodified pop version of punk rock, right? And he had the spiky white hair and the snarl, the Elvis sneer going on there, and I was hooked. I loved him. I went to see him once at the old Met Center with the Cult opening, one of the greatest shows I ever saw in my life. And he was cool, but the songs were hooky and catchy, and even in his punk rock days before in Britain, it was pretty commercialized compared to a lot of what was going on. But he's a cool guy, and well, in terms of personal life, I don't know about that, but he did the music thing right. He did a great turn later in his career in The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler playing himself. I've always liked everything that Billy Idol's about as far as a pop star goes. I think he's great. I think he should be in there.
And he was last seen at the Hall of Fame inducting, performing Ozzy Osbourne's.
Yeah.
So he was doing that thing. Next up would be Inks.
Oh, In Excess. Without question, they should be there. Are you a fan, Tanna?
I don't really know much.
Okay, all right. Well,
before my time,
but it is. But I promise you, they have no less than a half dozen songs.
That Need You Tonight, right?
Yes, that and so many. Never Tear Us Apart and Original Sin. Yeah, Australian band that came out. They put out like 4. So they had an early hit in the early 80s.
7 of their albums went to at least platinum.
Yep.
Kick hit sextuple platinum.
So that
doesn't even seem possible.
6 million though. So that was the huge record that got played on pop radio, alternative radio. That is the staple one that everyone recognizes the cover. They first got played on American radio like 4 or 5, maybe more years earlier than that. When they put out Shabu Shuba, there was a song on there called The One Thing that classic rock stations would play, but then nobody heard about them. All of a sudden they started to swing back in with Listen Like Thieves. I remember hearing that in college in the mid-'80s. And then Kick came out before the 80s were over, and that was it. They were cemented as superstars. Obviously, lead singer Michael Hutchence met an untimely and unfortunate end, but he was considered among the sexiest of the sex symbols out there in the 80s and 90s. And they also backed it up with incredible musicianship and great, great songs. So yeah, with 100% they should be in.
This is, I'm reading from that Cleveland Courier or whatever it's called piece, and so there's some there's some opinion as he writes each one. And tell me if you agree with this. He's talking about Iron Maiden. He said, this is just dumb. The Rock and Roll Hall Foundation's obvious dislike and disrespect of metal is embarrassing, elitist, and condescending. The fact that Iron Maiden is on their third slot at enshrinement 2021 and 2023, despite being one of the most important rock and metal bands of the last 50 years, is why many music fans and outside of this country don't take the Rock Hall seriously. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with it 100%, and I would agree with it even more since we're talking about Iron Maiden. I would not agree with that if you said we were talking about the band Poison, okay? If you're a Poison fan, there is no shame in that game. But if we're talking about enshrining people that mattered, that were influential, that were important, that were trailblazers, that were unique, that did something that never came before, and then kept it going, not just on a local or a regional or a national scale, but internationally, one of the most beloved rock bands for 50 years. They have been around forever. They should have been a first ballot, and they should have been nominated way before 2021. They're as important a metal band as ever existed, with the possible exception of maybe your Black Sabbaths and a couple others, but they're among the most iconic. Lead singer Bruce Dickinson flies a jumbo jet. He flies the band's jet. They go down to South America and they play in stadiums that hold 250,000 people, and it's sold out. This is such an important and enduringly successful rock band. It's embarrassing that they're not already in there.
Joy Division, New Order.
This one's a hipster pick, but it belongs. Joy Division was the early post-punk version of what New Order would become. Again, a lead singer who met an untimely demise right as great things were about to happen. But luckily the band pulled it together and came out with New Order, and New Order was super hip with the kids throughout the 80s. But then they started to actually break through and get hits, and they became very popular on MTV to this day, where they are one of, a British techno/pop bands. They're one of the most recognizable ever. And they still hold the distinction, by the way, of putting out their song Blue Monday when it came out on 12-inch. It looks like a floppy disk with the colored squares down the side. That is still, to this day, the number one selling 12-inch single on vinyl of all time.
New Edition.
Yeah, we're a little out of my purview here. I don't really...
Tenna, are you a New Edition guy?
No.
Okay.
Who came out of New Edition, Tenna? Somebody famous came out of New Edition that I can never remember, but they were a boy band, and so yes, they were humongous.
Bobby Brown.
There it is. Bobby Brown came out of New Edition.
And of course, Bill Bev DeVoe and Johnny Gill.
Well, I do
Ralph
remember.
Tresvant.
I
know all
girl
those guys.
is poison. I'm down with a little Belle Biv DeVoe, but I suppose for legacy and how much the members of that band would go on to be a big part of music and R&B throughout the 90s. But
this band would, if they got together for a tour, it would rival that of the Beatles.
Settle
it would be
down.
Oasis.
You know what? Too soon? Okay, too soon. I just had my heart torn out. I had already prepared a spot on the mantle.
Yeah.
For the trophy, for the award.
I thought you'd won, but...
I'm like Burt Reynolds, the one time he got nominated for an Academy Award, and that look on his face after he didn't win it, he was expecting to win that one.
Oasis, your thoughts?
A big band, a gigantic band. They're as big a rock band as you can name from the relatively modern era, and you can't tell the story of rock and roll without telling their story, which is why I made such a preposterous statement regarding them. They absolutely belong in.
The Doylestown, Pennsylvania native, Pink.
Yeah.
Pink.
Nobody like her. She gets automatically lumped in with all the other pop divas of her era that came up, that whole class of your Christina Aguileras, your Britney Spears, but she's not like them. I've seen her sit down and absolutely pull your heart out with an acoustic guitar. I've also seen her hang from a trapeze dangerously high in the air, twisted over backwards, and still belting out her song with so much gusto. She's a great mom.
That's not lip synced when she's doing that performance up there?
There's obviously going to be backing tracks,
right.
but no, she's a real singer because you can tell when she's singing.
No, but I meant for when you're up in the trapeze.
Yeah. Well, she's still got the mic taped to the side of the face, so there is some singing going on. To what degree? I always think that too when you see those gigantic dance numbers. There's no way they're hitting those notes when they're moving that hard and that fast. So the backing tracks, backup singers, that whole thing. But my point was, Pink is legendary. She is admirable, from her takes on motherhood to her takes on rock and roll to her takes on human decency and the quality of her live performance. These epic giant shows that at the heart of them, there's still something beautiful going on. There's something very real and very believable. And she's just endearing more than any of the other so-called divas, but I don't think she's really like them. Yeah, Pink is one of the greats of I think she should be in there.
There's a British singer who's described as having a velvety smooth voice, matched perfectly by her long-standing bandmates, smooth jazz, AC, R&B. She's on it all. Her name is Sadie.
Sade.
Oh,
I always loved that one.
I thought it was Sadie.
I honestly didn't know where you were going. That was pretty good.
Sade, you say?
Yeah, well, and a lot of people do call her Sade, but it's a Sade. Her vocal stylings, her phrasing, every artist brings something different to the table, right? And sometimes we fall in love with their clever gift of lyrics or their just aura that you can't. Her gift of phrasing a word in that sweet, mellow, almost Astrud Gilberto-like voice she has.
Smooth Operator is a brilliant piece of work.
It's unbelievable. Oh man, she's as sweet as Taboo. Man, if it's time for a quiet evening with that special someone, you put on Sade's Diamond Life. You can thank me next time I'm on Rock Talk. But no, she's singular. There's not anybody who did quite what she did. A lot of great singers, a lot of great crooners over the years, but nobody quite like Sade that sounds really what she sounds like and continues to today. Absolutely an iconic person who belongs in something called a Rock Hall of Fame.
This artist won 4 Grammy Awards and 15 Latin Grammys, including 3 Song of the Year awards. Shakira.
Exactly.
Okay, tell me about her.
Well, I don't know a ton about her other than she is teeny tiny. She's very diminutive, but you would never know it to listen to her songs or to see her perform live or to recognize her enduring impact. And again, at a time where we are struggling with the concept of accepting music from other parts of the world, or dare I say it, that aren't in English, she did a ton to promote Latin culture and also bring a fun dance element to it that, frankly, white culture gets real square and stiff to me, even in the pop music and the dance music department sometime. She has real life in her music, and it's exciting, and she's got that aura. She's got the X factor, which is why she rose through the ranks, and we're talking about her right now. It's why they would even consider putting her in the Rock Hall. 2
more nominees before we move on to Rock Rank. Luther Vandross.
Oh, well, I mean...
That's a no-brainer.
It
right?
really is. I mean, just the most buttery smooth, but also he can really hit those high notes. A fun little add-on to his story is early on in the 70s when David Bowie was going through his Plastic Soul era, he was finding all these different horn players and singers and trying to bring a little old-school American soul, and he found Luther Vandross and said, that's the voice right there. And shortly after that, in the next decade, he found Stevie Ray Vaughan. But these were artists that were always going to make it, but he just was an interesting stop on their journey. Yeah, Luther Vandross. I mean, everybody associates him with cool and smooth and beautiful and talented, and he's got dozens of albums. Yeah, he belongs.
Well, listen to this. This is sort of his statistics. 11 consecutive platinum albums, 8 Grammys, Song of the Year for Dance with My Father from his final album. He has been inducted into the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame and the Grammy Hall of Fame. So it seems like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is the next step, right?
He's iconic. He should be in the same conversation as people like Marvin Gaye. I mean, he's that big a deal, has had that sort of, those stats you rattled off, that's monumental success. I hate the fact that he hadn't won a Grammy prior, because that Grammy, if it's at the end of his life, they're throwing him a bone to say, hey, we're finally recognizing all the great work you've done. I don't love that stuff. But yeah, Luther Vandross is an all-time great.
And then finally, The Who.
Oh,
are you a big Wu?
Yes,
Clan
and
guy?
see, I'm only a modest hip hop fan, and I got to believe it. There's a lot of storytellers, a lot of fakers, a lot of fronting going on out there, if you will.
Fronting is what it's called?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't like a lot of it if it's all just life on the street is hard. Okay, I got it, and that's a killer story and an important part of the evolution and the story. But I need to hear more stories. There was a time in the late '80s when it was really going that it could have gone anyway, and then it went into gangster stuff, and I didn't care for it. Now, don't get me wrong. to sound like a super old guy, Wu-Tang Clan comes correct. They're totally believable and they're iconic, and all of their members would go on to have success in later projects, solo projects, working with different people, constant collaborations. They were endlessly inventive. They were one of those seismic jumps forward. They were
the quintessential East Coast boom rap.
Exactly. They changed the nature of the evolution of hip-hop. And, yeah, well, of course. Mainly the East Coast, though. Don't confuse it with the Midwest or West Coast.
I'm a big East Coast boom rap guy.
Are you?
Tend to be. What do you think about Wu-Tang?
I was going to say, what do you like better? Listening to Old Dirty Bastard or saying the name Old Dirty Bastard?
I like saying it.
That's just a great rap name.
Yeah.
Old Dirty Bastard.
I'm more of a, well, if I'm really saying, I'm more of a RZA guy.
RZA?
But I can
Ghostface Killah?
I can get down a little Ghostface Killah.
Tend to be, are you a big Wu-Tang Clan guy?
I never really got into them.
Okay. Well, you're not really an East Coast boom rap.
I am definitely West Coast when it comes to West Coast. Yeah, West Coast versus East Coast.
That's why you and I don't get along. We don't go to rap concerts.
I'm Death Row Records all day long.
Can I remind you guys, though, that we're all in the same gang? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
When the East-West Coast beef first started, before the big killings, there was always a beef going on there before we lost Tupac or Biggie. And there was an effort that came out, kind of a PSA meets cool hip-hop. Hey, man, let's all get along. And the whole thing was, we're all in the same gang.
Not everybody gets in. They're not going to have 17 people get in.
God,
right?
no. I mean, it might be 5 or 6, but the fans do have a voice in it.
Right.
They all compiled theirs to pick one, like a fan favorite one. But you can go and vote and see what the other online population feels who should be in there.
Your impassioned plea for Iron Maiden, you think for sure they should
Without
be
question, Iron Maiden, especially to the people out there who are like, well, that's not rock and roll. This should be rock and roll. If you love rock and roll, even if you're not a metalhead, Iron Maiden matters. We all know the iconic image of their guy, their mascot, Eddie, holding the axe on the Killers album. Good. Look at, trust me, people know. So I would absolutely, I would say Iron Maiden, probably my number one on there. I got to go In Excess. I got to go Joy Division, New Order, Pink. Those are probably my top 4.
Mariah deserves it over all of them.
Well, she deserves it, no question.
You just don't like her, but she has more accolades than anyone on that list. It's not even close.
I couldn't agree more, but then it's more than just accolades, right? It's also, and she is iconic. There's no question that she's deserving, but influential.
She's like the best artist in the entire decade.
Well, no, the best-selling artist.
Well, yeah.
If she gets in, so should Bachman-Turner Overdrive.
Canadians.
Are we ready for our next segment?
I'm ready.
Rock rank.
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 Last week we did top 5 love songs. We got to take the opposite approach today, Brian Oak.
Yeah.
Your top 5 favorite breakup songs.
Well, this list was almost as challenging because the only topic that has been written about anywhere near as much as love and falling in love is falling out of love and breaking up. The list of absolutely massive breakup songs measures into the thousands. I just off the top of my head, I was able to put together
Neil Sedaka, Breaking Up
almost
is hard
40.
to do.
And that's not even on my list. But this was my personal top 5 for today. But it doesn't include Bob Dylan's Don't Think Twice. Doesn't include Fleetwood Mac's Go Your Own Way. Doesn't include Adele's Someone Like You.
What?
Doesn't include Sinead O'Connor's Nothing Compares to You. Doesn't include Kelly Clarkson's Since You've Been Gone or JT's Cry Me a River.
Come on.
Dude, there are so many.
What about JT's What Goes Around Comes Back Around?
It doesn't include Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You.
No.
Which is unthinkable, right? But here's where my head was.
What are your 5?
Well, now, and again, this is just for today. And really, Dolly Parton should be on here in one of these because that's perhaps the greatest breakup song of all time when it's not been a hideous breakup. Number 5 is a British band from the relatively modern era from their X and Y album. I have chosen the band Coldplay with The Hardest Part. It's not a household name. It was a minor hit, not not a huge hit at all, but it's Chris Martin's vocals and this beautiful thundering piano line that's just brilliant hooks. And the word bittersweet comes to mind because obviously it's well passed over and there was a lot of pain, but he talks about leaving the sweetest taste in my mouth and just the descending lyrics and the chorus. It's heartbreaking. It's the best part about breaking up is that sting that you feel because you know it's real. I think this song embodies that.
White Flag by Dido. Well, it's a great song. It is a great song.
That should be on my list, and I'll be honest, it didn't even occur to me.
Next up.
Number 4, one for the kids. I don't know why, but we started playing it when I still worked at Cities 97. And for whatever reason, of all the pop pablum they were trying to pass out at that point, there was a lot of peace. Olivia Rodrigo's Driver's License is a song that just hit me in my gut, and I never got tired of it, and I didn't feel like I could listen to it enough, and I wish there were more people her age that in touch with articulating the way that they feel, because all teenagers feel things very deeply, right? And it's the first time anyone's ever felt like this, and the world is ending. But she had a way of encapsulating that and making horrific heartbreak feel almost mundane by putting it through a very everyday lens. And if you're sad and you are going through a breakup or have recently broken up, Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo is a great song to put on your Woe Is Me playlist.
Well, how about Johnny Paycheck and Take This Job and Shove It?
Also great, but that's not the kind of breakup I was focusing on today.
Okay, very good.
But also, I know exactly how that feels. You're going to
Number 3.
Number 3, this one comment is going to be in the heart of your wheelhouse. And I could hear arguments that this should be number 1, but I got a couple others that actually are better than it. It is the Beatles, Yesterday.
Oh.
I mean, this is...
that could be...
It might be the most simple, devastating end of things, and how did it all go so wrong, and I'll never recover, and life is over. And I guess it was only yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away.
Well, I remember they asked him one time about, where he kind of thought where he was in the world of writing. So he goes, well, I'm the guy that wrote Yesterday. That's what he said.
I remember.
And that was kind of like, I guess, what else can you say? There's no comeback to that.
And I remember one time, too, they were talking about how he was always seen as sort of the soft, cute Beatle. And I remember seeing the video footage. He's like, I'm the guy who wrote Helter Skelter, Charlie Manson's song.
Yeah, right.
Like, he took credit for it. I'm like, well, this one we come back to America for number 2.
Okay.
Number 2 is a band that got very famous covering Bob Dylan songs. But in this case, this is their own song. The Byrds have a great song called Feel a Whole Lot Better that years later would be covered by Tom Petty. I'll probably feel a whole lot better when you're gone is the chorus of the song. And because once you break up, it can't all be crying into your beer, right? Or making your sweatshirt wet from just sitting there and sobbing all day. There's got to be a little bit of a, you know what? I'm going to do this. A very Gloria Gaynor, I will survive kind of thing, but done with beautiful harmonies and jangly pop guitar. Yeah, the Byrds feel a whole lot better at number 2.
And number 1. Number 1 on your list of breakup songs.
Bill Withers, Ain't No Sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone away. Now, and that one might not be specifically a breakup song, but it's about not being around enough and not knowing what the future holds, and it's those same feelings of an early breakup. And that song has never not been devastating to me. It's never not been, that thing that I'm talking about. One of the reasons it's not fun to do, but the thing about breaking up that I always remember, as a relatively recently divorced guy, there's that thing in your heart that doesn't stop, and it feels so real and so awful and so palpable that when you find somebody who can articulate that unexplainable feeling like Bill Withers in Ain't No Sunshine, it'll always be in my absolute top tier of songs.
This might surprise you because, for me, they're not I think everybody here at the radio station has this love of Hall & Oates. And I like Hall & Oates, but I think a lot of it's cheesy, and I don't really, I prefer Loggins and Messina, Simon and Garfunkel. But the one song they did from Abandoned Luncheon and She's Gone.
Yeah. It's great. It's brilliant.
Is maybe, for me, the best breakup song ever of all time.
I would like to mention also the Eagles, Already Gone. That one's got an exuberant feeling. But Robin's Dancing on My Own is also great. Tom Petty, Woman in Love. Alanis Morissette, You Ought to Know. Rod Stewart, Maggie May. Dionne Warwick, Walk On By. No Doubt, Don't Speak. Boys to Men.
I was just saying, Boys to Men, End of the Road is phenomenal.
I was going to say that one's for you, Tennessee.
What about Somebody That I Used to Know by Gautier.
I got it right here. Also, Prince's Purple Rain, Bonnie Raitt's I Can't Make You Love Me. There's so many. Natalie Imbruglia's Torn, I think I already mentioned, but the list goes literally on and on and on. So if you're going through the Broken Heart, it's always nice to have a Woe Is Me soundtrack.
555.
555, episode 555 of the Brian Oak Show publishes tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. You can find it everywhere, but most notably on the free iHeartRadio app.
See you next Wednesday.
See you
That's
then.
Rock Talk for another week. Let's take a break. Come back. Mark Rosen joins us next year.